Okay, guys, so hopefully you are about to work on your evaluation and just need a reminder of some of the things we've run through this already in our live lesson, as usual. Key thing, you are not evaluating yourself or how you did the experiment. You are evaluating the experiment itself. Okay, so things that no matter who's doing the experiment, will be an issue. Okay, so you should not be writing anything about what happened when you did the experiment in there, that you dropped it or you didn't start the timer on time or that sort of thing. It should be things that would happen regardless of who is doing it. So you're assuming that someone has tried to do it perfectly, but these things are always going to affect your results. So to show you what I mean, you will probably recognize this experiment. You did it in school not too long ago. So we have our surface area experiment we did in school here, and they're doing the powder version. So let's watch it for a couple of seconds. My watch is trying to
Oh, okay. Tell me when I need to start. Wait.
So right here is an error they have made. It's not an error in the experiment. The powder is in there, it has started reacting, and they have not started the time. Okay, this wouldn't be in your evaluation because it is an error they have made, not an error in the actual experiment. What they should do now is go, well, this experiment's not worth it because we haven't started the timer in time, and do it again so that they haven't got all this gas escaping. So that is not an evaluation error. Okay, that's not an error with the method. It's just an error the boys made. What's coming up would count as a method error.
Okay, I'm starting.
It is always going to have a time lapse between you tipping the powder in and you fitting the bungs. There is always going to be an amount of gas that escapes. Okay, how quickly you get that bung in limits how much gas would escape, but you're always going to have some. You can't do it perfectly. So this would be an error with the experiment. There is no way to prevent all of the gas escaping. And that means the amount of gas you measure is always going to be lower than you expect it to be in this case. So your rate of reaction is going to be lower. So that's one of the key things you need to make sure you talk about in your evaluation. Things like if you've changed the temperature, over time, the temperature is going to go down. How is that going to affect your rate of reaction? There's no way you can stop it because that's what happens. Heat will transfer everything. So even if you start the reaction at 100 degrees, by the time your reaction is finished, the temperature could be a lot lower, 90, 80, depends what you've added into it. So that would be an error with the method. You cannot stop that happening with the method designed the way you've got it. So you could note that down. And you would say that it would make the rate of reaction lower because obviously as temperature gets lower, the rate of reaction. It's really important you talk about how it affects the rate of reaction. So this is my error and this is how it affects my rate of reaction. So you need to sit and think very carefully about your experiment. Watch back through the video of you doing your experiment and go, okay, is that something that I've done wrong or is that something I cannot change because of the way the experiment is designed? And then next lesson we'll talk about how we might add some improvements to it. But if you can think of improvements now, how you could make it better, then that's absolutely fine. Start adding them to your evaluation. In that case, the easiest way to make it better is to have one of those small ignition tubes, a tiny test tube. You'd put the powder in the ignition tube inside the conical flask with the solution outside the ignition tube. You'd put the bung in and then you'd shake it so all the powder mixes in, but the bung is already in so no gas would escape. So it's things like that that would fix your method. It's not something you would need to do better. You'd need to change the entire design of the experiment. So hopefully that will remind you. If you're not sure if your evaluation point is a you thing or a method thing, run it by me as you usually would. Talk to you soon, guys.